Tubal and Meshech, Iberians from Spain and Russians from Volga. Japhet's two sons, Tubal and Meshech, did not attract special attention to the testators, and very little was written about them, not because those countries had no historical significance, but because they were poorly known and indecisive. The position of those two countries was not easy to determine because they appear in two places at the same time. On the other hand, Tubal and Meshech are always mentioned together, simply inseparably, and that causes great difficulties in determining their geographical location. If the people of the two countries were everywhere and always together, mixed, then we can no longer speak about two but one country. When one takes into account the fact that the Jews took from the Assyrians the entire Izorod distribution of people, that is, various countries, including those with which the Jews had no ties or knowledge about them, determining those two countries may become much more difficult. The Assyrians knew where each country, people, or tribe they were talking about from the Atlantic Ocean to India, but the Jews did not know it. At that time, when this schedule was taken from the Assyrians, which is the time of the writing of the Old Testament and the time of the prophets, the Jews were able to understand this schedule. Since there was not enough data or knowledge about it, it is in the purely Jewish tradition, with the fall of Assyria, the stop was created among the Jews as well. This is why no later Jewish historian was able to properly explain to us the distribution of countries and peoples of Izorod. Josephus Flavius, the most important among them, became entangled halfway and could not go any further, so he began to give some explanations that are contrary to the letter and the spirit of the schedule given in Izorod. The only thing that he was sure of was that the distribution of countries reached Gibraltar in west from the European and African sides. He knows about Spain that she is Iberia, but she was not able to say anything specific, neither about Rhodania nor about Italy. That rather seems strange, because Italy was, so to speak, right next door. Attempts by later Jewish historians who understand that this was a wider area and not a narrow circle of countries around Palestine did not bear fruit because of the Greek school, which sought to place all the countries of Izorod as far as Europe was concerned in and around Greece. This is how it happened to create a picture of the Caucasian region as a multi-story settlement of countries. Spain is in fact the main country of Tubal, more important than one in Asia. This appearance of Tubal in two places has caused great confusion among historians, so since that was also the case with Meshech, the problem became simply unsolvable. Meshech's main country is on Volga, and it appears together with Tubal in Cappadocia in Caucasus. In time, Tubal and Meshech will disappear in Cappadocia, then in foothills of the Caucasus, so they will remain separated in very distant areas. Tubal in Spain and Meshech on Volga. Saint Jerome calls Meshech Moshoch and believes that they were in Cappadocia. He says about Tubal that they are Iberians who are also called Spaniards, and some even Celtiberians. Some also consider the Italians to be Tubals. Tubal's Alibis and Herodotus' Halibis, which he finds west of the river Halis in Asia Minor, are Tubal. Odyssey, but Tubals are Omir's Alibes. When we say Omir, we think about the names which are found in Iliad and Odyssey. But we would like to mention that these are not original names of Homer, since the Iliad and Odyssey were translated into Greek, and the names were adapted to the Greek way of pronunciation. It is obvious that the name of the river Halissa is related to the name Kaliba. Herodotus says that his Halibes are also called Tibareni. All writers agree that the Jewish Tubal and the Greek Tibareni are the same name. Saint Jerome says that the Tubals are Iberians, that is, Spain, who are also called Celtiberians. Josephus Flavius, a Jewish historian from the 1st century AD, says that the Iberians were formerly called Tubals. Claudius Ptolemy mentions the city of Tabilaka at the foot of Caucasus. Bohardius states all the assumptions about Tubal and Meshech and concludes that Tubals are Tiberians from Greek records, which are the same as Halibi, that is, Iberians. Josephus Flavius adds that Tubal is the same as Tubal-Cain, the first blacksmith from the Old Testament, and that is today, that is in his name, the country of Spain. Edward Wells notes that there is popular tradition among the Spaniards about their origin from the Tubalos. Translation 72 mentions Princes Rosh, Meshech and Tubal. That means Meshech from the Rosh River. Wells says that Muscovites and Russians are their descendants, and the former to the north and latter to the south. The Greeks changed the name of this river to Araxes, and the Arabs called it Rosh. It is a modern river Volga, whose the first known name was Rasha. The Old Testament mentions the people of Rosh, and they are Russians from Volga. The name of this river is mentioned by Eastern people abbreviated as Ra, Rash, or Rosh. Bosch says that Ras or Aras is the name of the river that Greeks and Romans mentioned as Araxes. Persian and Arab writers says that Rus was the 8th son of Japhet, and his descendants, according to Abul Faray, were always associated with Bulgars, Slavs and Alans. Rosenmiller says without hesitation, Rosh are Russians. Bohardius says the great river Atel, like the Arabs call the river Ra, is Volga. The Arabic Sekelab is usually translated from Slavic, but sooner be this is name that refers to Serbs rather than Slavs. The Hebrew Meshech is translated into Greek in translation 72 from Moshi, as mentioned in Herodotus. Ben Gurion, stated by Bohardius, says that is Meshech Russia. Eusebius Pamphilus says that mosques are people as the mosques as people are Illyrians, which means Serbs. John Campbell talks about a very interesting inscription found in Mera, that is Marasia, as everyone calls the landscape. The inscription was engraved on stone lions and dates from between 930 to 858 BC. It mentions the people of Ras or Rasa. Then the cities of Raska and the people of Rashka are mentioned. Campbell concludes that these races are the same as Rosh from the Old Testament and Tiglat-Pileser Marusi. They are associated with the Jewish Likatahu, that is, the Lydians, the Ludeans, or humans. Luadach is the father of Mareshach, say the Jews. Here we come across data that the Russians were from the Ludeans who moved from Asia Minor to the east, just like Rasens who went to Italy. Serbian tribes often used the name Rashani as their second name, and the two names are found together whenever they appeared. Campbell follows these Russians further and says, Tiglat-Pileser II puts Saraban in Babylon, whereas in Alam the southern races live. Geographers use the name Saravane and Aravane. According to Beres, Moise of Horen states that Zervan was the lord of the country in the time of Xisur, when the Chaldeans mention him as Hasissadra. and the Hattusians as Achastari. To this line belong the races from which the Ben-Zur or Zeruvune are descended, and the Moshi or Cappadocians representing Yaphet. Barrows talks about the time when Moshi and Rassi ruled the Chaldeans. Campbell adds, the races were the oldest inhabitants and the Rassi were the oldest inhabitants and denominators of Russia.